Hello, I'm Ed Overstreet. I'm run the Night Sky Imaging YouTube channel, and I'm imaging the sun this morning using a Daystar manufactured Quark Chromosphere, and I'll also have riding tandem a a Solar Scout, and I'll show you what those look like. The Solar Scout is the one on top, and the Quark Chromosphere is the device between the focuser, moonlight focuser, and the camera. Of course, there's an extender attached to the Quark Chromosphere, and the Chromosphere mounts right directly to the tilt adapter and camera. The refractor that I'm using is an Astrotech 65 EDQ, and it works perfectly. I can't get the entire disc in, but then there's rare times when I want to do that. So I really am pleased with both the Solar Scout and the Quark Chromosphere. So let me share my screen and take you over to I don't know how long this is going to last, because as you can see, I'm reconnecting to the my kit that's outside. I have an observatory in my backyard, and I connect to it using Wi-Fi, and I'm not absolutely sure. I don't think we're connected. Let me see if, I'm going to have to, I'm just going to try to reconnect. There we go. And I really think that the magnetic storm that hit us yesterday and today from the coronal mass ejection that occurred a couple of days ago, and I really think that's messed up Wi-Fi, because I don't have these problems where I lose my connection, and I've had it all morning. But what I was going to do is I was going to show you the kind of the prom that I've been paying a lot of attention to lately. And hang on a minute, we need to do a little focusing first. Wrong way. I think I've already lost connection. Anytime. Let me. Yeah. This may not go well at all. I'm just gonna. Alright. Let's try booting up again. Love it. I'm using Sharp Cap. Okay, this is the well, actually I'm on the this is the Solar Scout, and I'm using a one-shot color camera. I'm gonna have to go out and focus it before we can actually use that. I'm using the ASI 224, but let's switch and go to the mono camera, the 174, and let's drag the exposure down. I'm also going to look for another Wi-Fi signal, and let's see what my choices are. I don't want I think I'm stuck with the 5G. I want the 5G too, but it's not coming up. Okay, well, let's hope this lasts long enough for us to take a trip around the sun, and let's start doing that. I'm gonna move over here and you can see some spots in the middle of the sun there, and there's one up at the top. But this is what I want to show you. One of the nice things about the Quark Chromosphere that I particularly like is that I can image both the surface, and I can get the proms. And here's the one that's been going nuts the last several days, right here. And I mean, it has just been a crazy looking prom, and it is I have no idea how far that's going into the sun's atmosphere, but what we can see, it's got to be 200,000-300,000 miles or more, and I wouldn't be surprised if that isn't throwing plasma up close to 1,000,000 miles. And there's another prom that has been goofing off here for the last couple of days as well, coming and going. But while we have the proms exposed, and I want to change that a little bit, I want to change this to 240, and I want to go up to 20, and let's go down to 220. Let's go back up to 230. And okay, now let's kind of go around the sun, see if we can see any more proms. This is a live view of the sun, and it's the day after Halloween. There's no school in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is a good thing for teachers, because the kids, I'm sure, are crazy. Okay. I saw earlier on the NASA solar website some activity down here, but it looks like there it is. I'll show you where I was. Let me open up Google, and let me go over to, well, let's just find sun forecast, and let's look at one that's recent. There's a recent well, we're going to have to, we could play a little video, but there's a lot of activity going on. Here's the large sunspot that we were just looking at, and then there's this activity down here where we are right now. And then if we head over to the NASA website and click on this filter, you can see the that filament, that large solar flare, prominence, and then the activity here. I didn't see that. I'm watching this too, though. We're watching this, but let's go now. There's nothing else around the sun worth traveling to see, but we'll go ahead and do it since we have it. Since we have the connection and it's working. So let's move the sun up. Well, before we do that, let's go back up again where that NASA solar image showed there was activity up here on this corner. And let's just overexpose it a little more and see if nah, it's just I don't we're not able to, we can't pull it out, so I just don't see it. Alright, let's go back down. There's some, let's raise the exposure and see if there's, no. No, that, this bottom left part of the sun is doesn't really have any action going on the rim. Okay, so we're imaging the sun. There's a prom. We're overexposing so that we can see the proms jetting out off of the rim of the sun. And we're going to go back up here to this monster. This is a beast of a prom. It's the largest I've ever seen. And I've spent a lot of time on the sun. When I say it's the largest, it is the one that has lasted the longest. This is now in its third or fourth day, and gravity and magnetic forces will pull this plasma back towards the sun eventually, but it's still shooting gases. I wonder how many tons of hydrogen are exploding to make this happen. Hundreds of millions of nuclear bombs all going off at one time. This is huge. If you took the Earth and you set it on the rim of the sun, it would look about like, oh, just a little dot. So the Earth is about 22,000 miles in diameter. So kind of do the math. If I would say you could stack probably 50, 60 Earths on top of each other, maybe more, to go from here to here where I see nebulosity, or I see the gases. Okay, let's go back and bring our gain back down to 80, and let's bring our exposure down to 14, and let's go ahead and continue going around the sun. And what I do want to do is I want to come down here and show you this region of activity right here. And let's work on our exposure just a bit. I think we're going to need to come out some. And there we go. We've got a filament that's been around for a couple of days, and then these spots, the sunspot. I'm going to go ahead and image this. Let me make sure I've got the right let's create a new folder, and we'll call this 11/1/21 solar, to put these images in. And let's call this sun, and let's add surface to the folder name, and let's knock off well, actually, let's go to quick capture, and let's take 1,000 frames. So I'm taking a video 1,000 frames long at 70 frames a second. Okay, we're done. Let's continue. Let's see. Let's go up here, so make sure we didn't miss anything. Let's go back over to, we got this sunspot over here by this prom. Let's frame it a little better, and let's image this. Let's look at our focus just a tad here again. As the telescope heats up, I need to move my focuser out. I may have gone too far. Nope. The seeing conditions are getting, they're not improving. See, the sun's moving around a good bit. And okay, let's go ahead and take a quick capture, about 1,000 frames of this. And we're done. And let's continue our move around the sun. Let's go back where we were, and we'll go clockwise. There's going to be some activity down here. I've been imaging this for several days. Right here, as it rotates across the sun. I'm going to go ahead and knock off 1,000 frames of that. This spot has brought some interesting activity. I've done a couple of time lapses. I just haven't had a chance to process the data yet. I've got close to 400 AVI files, each 1,000 frames long, to put into a GIF movie. Okay. One thing I want to show you while I am taking a look at the sun is I'm going to show you how I take flats and use those to remove dust. You can see this spot right here is dust. That's dust. This is dust. That's dust, 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 and more dust. And this is that image we took first, the first image we took, the sunspots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name to flat. And I'm going to take my focuser and I'm going to defocus outwardly 1,000 steps. And what you can see when I do that is kind of the sun has become smooth, but the sunspots, they're not defocused. They're still the smudges. Only the sun defocused. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a capture of about 500 frames, and they're going to be labeled flat. And everything you see, that dust spot, these smudges, will be removed. And I'll show you how that works. In fact, we'll just go ahead and process one of those captures. So we're done here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and minimize the sun, this, and let's bring up Autostakkert, and I'm going to open it. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to today. And it created, because I gave it that name flat, it created a folder called flat. And I'm going to bring this into Autostakkert. And then I'm going to go to image calibration. And I'm going to put create master frame. And I'm going to just label this master flat. And then I will go to my, there we go. I will go to my folder that had sun surface. And remember, we took 3 images, and this is the one that had the spot. So let's bring that up, and let's reduce the size of that a little bit, bring it down, and the region of interest that I want to make sure gets some attention in the analyzing stage. I'm going to scrub through this video and see if there's any area that's sharper. That looks okay. I'm going to analyze. First thing I'm going to do, hold off. First thing I'm going to do is remove the, almost forgot what I was doing, remove these spots. So I'm going to go up to image calibration, load master flat. Now I have to go back to that folder, and there's the master flat. It's a TIFF file, and watch what happens. They're gone. So I removed all the dust. Now I'm going to go ahead and analyze. And it gives a quality graph, and it's telling me that about 75% of my frames are better than 50%. If you put 50% of the frames above the line and 50% of the frames below the line, it would, and it's what it's actually done, 75% of these frames are usable, but I don't want to use that many. I want to actually get the ones that are about the top 25%. So I want those up here. I don't want those. So I'm going to go ahead and just create I want 30%. Let's just say 30% of the frames. I'm going to place a grid, which has to be done. Let's try a different grid. Let me clear it. And let's try 104. That's good. And I'm going to stack this. And what it's going to do, it's going to create a TIFF file, one single image, where it's stacked all 1,000, well, not 1,000, 300 of the 1,000 frames. 300 of the best frames will be stacked into one image, and it will be a TIFF file. And it's working on that right now. While we're doing this, I'll tell you what I'll do. We'll just go ahead and take this image on into Photoshop after we run some wavelets in Registax, and I'll show you how I colorize it. So this will be view the sun, take an image of the sun, view the proms, take an image of the proms, and process them. Video. Okay. We can close out this. We don't need it right now. And let's bring up Registax. Let's go find our image. We've got to go to today. And we'll go to Sun Surface, and it created a folder for all the images that I will process at keeping 30%. That's what the Autostakkert percentage kept 30 means. And let's bring that file into Registax. I want to see it all, so I'm going to go show full image, and I'm going to, I have a scheme already saved for planets, for the moon, for Saturn, and down here for solar. But what I'm going to do is just go ahead and move the sliders. I usually start with 3, and I want to show the align points. I want to know where there's a green point here. And I want to make sure that the wavelets are affecting that area. And I'm moving these up. I'm going to move this number 4 up a good bit more. And I'm going to move 3 up a good bit more. And we're going to come up a little bit more. Little bit more. Then we're going to bring this one up a tad. I'm looking in the very center because it's not processing anything but right here, this block. There's that little green dot that shows me where this align point is. So I want to bring this up a little more. Then I'm going to add a little sharpening, going from 100 to 110. And while I'm doing that, I'm watching my sun sharpen up that region. I'm going to add a little noise reduction. To all the layers, and let's just keep that. I'm going to do all, and it's going to process the whole sun. And then I'm going to save this image, and I'm outside with the computer that's outside, so I'm going to use OneDrive, and I'm going to let's see, let me go to actually I need to thought I had already created a folder, but I didn't. I'll just save them in this October images, and I'm going to call this 11/1/31 Sunspot. Then I'm going to bring up Photoshop in my home, and it's loading. Gosh, it's taking a long time. Finally. And then we're going to go to File, Open, and we need to go to OneDrive, and we'll go up here to October, and it hasn't brought it over yet. While it's uploading to the cloud. And oh, here. Let me save it in that directory real quick. Let me get back to this, and we're going to save it again. This time, let's go to one more time. OneDrive. Let's go down. Let's see if it got in here. Yeah, it did get in there. I'm going to save it to this one. I'm just going to call this Spot. It'll be easier to find. And while that's uploading to the cloud, I'm going to show you. Let's go back to Photoshop, and it's gonna. Well, I know we're unloaded. We're uploading it to. And we're looking for Spot. Let's go back to October images and see if the other one. And while that's doing that, and I don't know if it's going to, I wanted to show you that prom that I imaged yesterday. I went ahead and processed it, and this is what that turned out to look like. So that monster that was shooting up turned out to be a pretty decent image. That's why I love the Quark Chromosphere. I think Daystar's got a winner, because not only can you effectively image the surface and all the activity that's going on there. If you find one of these solar flares, one of these coronal mass ejections, filaments, they're all the same thing. You can overexpose and find a good balance between gain and exposure, and knock off a 500, 600, 700, 1,000 frames and produce a really good image. Let's go back and see if any of those OneDrive files have actually gotten. They're large files, so it's going to take them a while to upload. Let's see if one of them gets up there. I keep forgetting which. Let's try this one first. Nah. And solar prom. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just open up. Let's see. Here is one. We'll just use any one. This is actually the same spot that. No, it isn't. We imaged the one in the center. I forgot. But the one that was in the bottom corner, I took a picture of that also today. This is the same spot. So we'll go ahead and I'll show you what I do in Photoshop. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Image. I'm going to go down to Mode, and I'm going to make sure it's been converted to RGB. Because I took this with a mono camera, chances are it's going to be what's called lab color or mono. So I'm going to make sure that we're in an RGB mode, because you can't colorize it otherwise. I'm going to go ahead and convert it to 8-bit. I saved it as a 16-bit, but that's unnecessary. Now I'm going to go down and I'll tell you what, let's just duplicate this layer. And some people don't have the newer versions of Photoshop, so let's just duplicate this layer, and you can right click and click on duplicate. You can hit Control or Command J, but there's a number of ways you can duplicate the layer. But we want to create another layer, and then I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, and I'm going to go to Curves. And to colorize it, I'm going to click on the red channel, and all I'm doing now is I'm going to be affecting the reds, and I'm going to move this up pretty radical. Then I'm going to go to green, and I'm going to bring this down not as much, and then I'm going to go to blue. And this is where I'm going to adjust this to taste. And I think that'll be fine. Now, I'm going to crop this some, because I've got some edges that look pretty pitiful. So I'm just going to bring this in some. crop it about right there. Bring it in, we can bring it over. Like this. I want to put, okay. Then I'm going to right click and create another duplicate layer, and I'm going to go to filter, and I'm going to go down to other, and I'm going to select high pass, and then I'm going to look here, and the only thing I want to sharpen really are the edges. I don't want to apply sharpening to the surface. I just want to drag this down to where all I see are the edges. High pass is a great sharpening tool for selective sharpening and getting this right. Let's just go ahead and do 2. Alright, then I'm going to go to blending modes over here on the right, and I'm going to go down and I'm going to try either overlay or sharp or soft light. Soft light is not as severe. Let's try overlay. And that looks good. I want to zoom up. Alright, I'm going to flatten this layer, and I'm going to go up to image adjustments. I'm going to do another curves layer, and this time I'm going to make a slide S curve. I'm going to drag the darks down, and I'm going to push the whites up, give a little contrast, and bring out the bumps on the surface of the sun. Okay. I may go up to Smart Sharpen, and that is go to Filter, and then go down here to Sharpen, and you look at Smart Sharpen, and we want to make sure our radius is about 1 or 0.75, and again we're more interested, I lost it, Smart Sharpen, we're more interested in that's too much, because you can see what it's doing here. Let's bring the radius up some. Alright, let's give it that and see what happens. Okay. Well, I don't like that last sharpening, so I'm just going to go over here and undo Smart Sharpen. And that's pretty much it. I am curious to see if those other files that we took finally got uploaded. That's crazy. Let's go to October images. Nope, never made it. And I know for a fact we saved them there, because I can go out to this image and go to save, and OneDrive, and come on down, and there is the Sunspot. So I'm not really sure. I may have to resync my OneDrive inside, and probably something there. But at any rate, that pretty much wraps up. Let's go back and look at the sun real quick. And while we're outside and bring up sharp cap, and we're going to defocus now. So we did this to take our flats, and we will defocus 1,000 frames. It kind of brings back where we were, and there's that same spot. While we're on it, let's focus again a little bit, and let's knock off another 1,000 frames. That may be 500. The last thing I set up was 500, and we want to call this Sunspot, and let's do 1,000. I need to go find that file and delete it. Okay. All right, folks. I'm going to go up to the prom and zero in on it. Start imaging it. I want to take some more pics of this. And I will say sayonara to you guys. Thanks for watching. If you will, and you want to see more of these, I do a lot of live imaging. Then click like and subscribe. And there's something about ringing a bell. I really don't know how much of that works. I do know that if you subscribe, because when I'm going to do it. But if I do, you get notified. I think that's how it works. So let me bring this down a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this centered a little, framed. I'm going to bring up some crosshairs for a reference so I can kind of recenter. And go east a little and south a little. And we're going to go up to capture, and we're going to go start capture, and we're going to take 300, let's take 500 frames, and let's make the sequence 200 long, and we'll have a 10-minute interval between pictures, and this is going to be a prom time lapse. So let's get started. Okay guys, I'm going to be babysitting the mount and repositioning this prom to help the stacking software, and I am then going to produce a time-lapse movie of the activity of this prom. Hope everybody has a great day. Make sure you say something nice to somebody, and I know you're going to feel better, and you'll probably make their day. Clear skies.